Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so kindly for joining us. Welcome to Green Apple Books on the Park. My name is Car Johnson. I'm the event coordinator for Green Apple, and tonight I'm really happy to welcome you to our event with Michelle Peñaloza as we celebrate her beautiful collection. Here it is, All the Words I Can Remember. It's truly a beautiful book, not just as a work of poetry, but also as book as object. I mean, look at it. There's printed color in the book. I'm freaking out. You should too. Michelle is joined tonight by Karen Llagas and Janice Lobo Sapigao. Let's get a hand for them as well. So kindly. I also want to give a quick shout out to the Philippine American Writers and Artists Network here. Thank you so much for supporting this event. I appreciate it so much. And thank you all for being here as well. Thank you for joining us both in person and also online. Hello, online audience. Waving to the camera if you can't see. We are opening each of our events here at Green Apple with a land acknowledgement, and we think that acknowledgement requires action. So I'd like to let you know that we are operating on unceded Ramaytush Ohlone land, and generally speaking, we direct people to the Ramaytush Ohlone Land Trust, which we have information about at the back desk. If you are interested in participating in this project of rematriation, we usually encourage people to donate either their time or monetary means to an Indigenous organization each time they hear a land acknowledgement, and that is but one way to do so. Very brief business before I let our poets take over. Now is a good time to silence your cell phones if you have not already. Please don't take a call in the middle of the event. That would be so embarrassing for you. Do we have a preference about photo taking? I just forgot to ask. I usually ask this before.
I'm okay with it.
Okay with it, but no bad photos. No
Yeah,
bad photos
before you post, just show so we can get our best angles.
Thank you. If you wouldn't post it of you, don't post it of them.
That's right. That's a good one.
Please do check out our full event calendar online at greenapplebooks.com. We have a really great season ahead of us, including the event you are attending right now. Please do, if you are able, buy books. Please do buy books from us, your hosts for the evening, Green Apple. If you've been here before, you've certainly heard me say that when you buy books from us, not only do you support us as an independent bookstore, you support the writers who put so much work into making these books, and then you get to have a book, which might be the best part. So if you are able, we always appreciate it. Thank you so much. I have some biographical information. I'm going to tell you about these poets' accolades, etc., and their accomplishments and what makes them so great. Well, maybe. I don't know if I can cover all of that, but I will let them show you. So I have some brief biographical information. I will let them take it away. We are in for a real treat this evening. We're going to hear them reading in the round. We get a little bit of sound from each of them. It's if they have more to describe this experience, I will let them. But that is what we can anticipate for the evening. And we'll open up to some questions at the end. Sound okay? Mm-hmm. Great. First, I'd like to introduce Karen Llagas, is the author of poetry collections All of Us Are Cleaved and Archipelago Dust. Other recent projects include translations of Filipino children's books into English, Dancing Hands, A Story of Friendship in Filipino Sign Language, as well as How Do You Eat Color. She teaches Filipino at UC Berkeley and divides her time between San Francisco and Los Angeles. Let's give one more hand for Karen. Janice Lobo Sapigao is a Filipino-American poet, writer, and community college educator from the San Francisco Bay Area. She co-created the Teach Palestine speaker series at Skyline College, which highlights the history and experiences of Southwest Asia and North Africa communities within the U.S. and in a global context, and advocates for a free Palestine. She authored the poetry collections Like a Solid to a Shadow and Microchips for Millions, along with 2 other chapbooks. Let's give one more hand for Janice. And last but most certainly not least, Michelle Peñaloza is the author of Former Possessions of the Spanish Empire, yay, winner of the 2018 Hillary Gravendick National Poetry Prize, as well as the chapbook Landscape Heartbreak. Some of her honors include the Frederick Bach Prize from the Poetry Foundation, as well as grants from the Barbara Deming Memorial Fund, Community Foundation of Mendocino County, Upstate Creative Corps, and PAWA. The proud daughter of Filipino immigrants, Michelle was born in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, and raised in Nashville. She now lives in Covelo, California. And her book, All the Words I Can Remember Are Poems, winner of the 2024 Lexi Rudnitsky Editor's Choice Award and the James Laughlin Award, is the reason we're here tonight.
Thank you, Car. What a lovely and warm welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being here. So we'll just get into reading. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to be reading in the round-ish. So I'll start, and then they'll go here, and then I'll come back, and then they'll go here. And we're kind of just running on vibes a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read, and then Karen will pick it up, and then I'll pick it up, and then, so that's how it'll go. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna start with the title poem, the first poem and the title poem from the book. Can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. All the words I can remember are poems. Anak, like a sigh born every day. Ilong, led by scent and know-how. Tanong, asking questions about the world. Sayaw, like how dance that comes from joy, sayang, can sway so close to sorrow. Bayan, how shame could be an entire country, pinto, or an open-doored question. Kailangan, needing, needful, and needless. Ilaw, illuminating a path. Ikaw, to you, little bit of me, almost. Dito, will you appear here? Doon, are you still there, maybe? Dahon, I hear you in the leaves. Darating, rippling in the wind, always arriving.
I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I'm like, okay. But I had requests for poems for Michelle as well. Good, I planned for that poem. Autobiography. I come from long years of clothes strung on a line, sun-bleached from humid hands, from a long line of women who hover too much, and then not at all. From children as afterthought, a thin sliver of a chapter on hope, small bodies meant for labor. I come from the rubber capital of the world. I had picked the explosion of jungle geraniums each morning, beat the bees and birds to the sugary lick, the leaked light I recognize as precious as wild animals do. Its name, Santan in Tagalog. How I love a word with proximity to saint and devil, depending on the tongue. Also to the sun, how he taught me that the left behind was what needed tending.
This is fun. Okay.
Oh, you're going.
Yes. No, you're good. But I love how ready you were.
I know what around it.
There you go. Okay. Kalokohan. My friend's kid discovers the glory of Gloria Estefan, and when prompted by her mother's question, "Is the rhythm gonna get you?" declares, "Don't talk about it," as she waves her small arms high above her head. If you plant one clove of garlic, it will grow into a bulb. If you plant one zucchini a summer, it will be enough. When he wasn't working at the plant or working in his garden, my father wore his Florsheim loafers and took care to condition their black leather and make their small gold buckles shine. My mother giggles high-pitched like a little girl with her eyes skyward when she tries to tell a story so funny she can't catch her breath. I laugh too, her laughter contagious. So what happened? What happened? Until my cheeks hurt, though I haven't yet heard a plot or punchline. Once, I hiked through a jungle and climbed to the summit of a mountain, and there found every houseplant my parents placed throughout the corners of my childhood. Pothos, snake plant, rubber tree, purple queen, ficus, fern. Indoor, outdoor, outdoor, in. A robin wakes me 3 mornings in a row with a bang, bang, bang that chokes me from my sleep. Its poor beak, trying to break through the windows. No, no, I say, you will hurt yourself. That reflection is you. There is no other robin here. Just you, just you. I rush the window, raise my arms, make myself big to scare it away from itself. A monster trying to help.
A monster trying to help. I love that. Okay, I'm going to try to respond to both of your poems with this one poem. Well, whatever. Here we go. Baba. When the sky falls and gravity gives in, it becomes grounding. Babae. You are wrong if you think us below you. The assembly line. My mother is a fab operator. 4 days a week, Ma gets up at 4 a.m., boils hot water in a kettle, showers before it screams, ready for coffee, watches the news as she pulls on her clothes, jeans and a simple tee, enough to soak up 12-hour sweat resting in orthopedic shoes that amplify the needs for health benefits and overtime. Ma is always on the front line of the Silicon Valley shadow, one of thousands of women whose nimble fingers and silent grumbling spin microchips for millions, powering laptops and cell phones that she herself does not find intuitive enough to use. At the end of every day, she watches the Filipino channel, her swollen feet elevated on the living room couch, a luxury she buys herself and her family.
Yes. I love that. Okay, I've got one. Kailangan. All the women in my family are needed and needle themselves into whatever everyone else needs. No one ever announces what is needed, which is nothing, needless to say.
I was going to ask you about the poem because right showing it is that beautiful photograph, and it goes so well with the poem.
Aww.
Yeah. Elegy holding a farmer's almanac. What is this obsession with seeds, the pencil poking the peat pellets, then placing them to warm adjacent to the router so they can burst into beginnings they choose when? And what is it to attend to the fermenting heap, steam from all that's been taken breaking back down into absorbable elements as if absolving for neglect? Cherries picked and forgotten, mushrooms that didn't make it to the pot, all that vibrated now shrivel. And where is grief? At the beginning or the end? Do I imagine the basil rushing to the light, flowering into compact spheres, the clumps of lime rind, coffee and eggshell? Do I forgive myself who waited to visit her? Do I forgive her, my grandmother who didn't wait, didn't say goodbye, who they told me tended the garden, sat back down, didn't get up again? You scold me for the bones I refuse to separate from the compost, the kumquats in the bowl, all acid and desire. I hold you to your promise to feed me back to the roots when time comes. These bones belong in our house, I insist. Memory needs bones, at the end, at the beginning.
Memory needs bones, yeah. Okay, I have How's the vibes movement going? Does it feel vibey? Is that the?
I'm moving into the garden.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. We'll find it. I should have it marked for the website. Oh yeah. Yeah. New book. Page 63. If you're following along, I feel like and it has I'm not necessarily picking the ones that have pictures on purpose, but it's just sort of happening. Just saying. I'm sorry. I ate all the beef jerky. I know you wanted some, but I ate it all. It was salty and chewy and delicious. You make fun of me for turning everything into a poem. Farming's taught me how hard it is to actually turn anything that runs on a gas motor. The ditch witch and the rototiller pull you forward, and only in the direction you choose to go first. A pull in only one direction is what I feel most these days, why I stuff my face with beef jerky. We've sunk our money into the ground, hoping what grows will turn into money, and that money will turn into the life we're trying to grow. Calm down, I don't know if I'm talking kids, but I am trying to talk about something. Something like abundance, which comes from Latin, abundantia, meaning overflowing, like the way you fill our cups with water each night and place them on our nightstands. Because we need to stay hydrated. I'm always wanting and needing so much. Can need be overflowing? Can need brim over? I'm sure there's something here I could relate to farming, how it's not about transformation so much as moving mass. Pallets of dirt, buckets of compost tea, from one place to another, the wheelbarrow always in use, never resting, full of seabird pellets, with so much depending not upon it, but on the strength or weakness of our arms on any given day. These days, I don't write anything down, but I listen. I actually hear the sound wings make when birds fly. What else could be more like a poem? Maybe that face you made when I did not answer when you asked, what happened to all the beef jerky?
Okay, I think this responds in a way. I'm like so conscious about that as the assignment as I choose my
You're
poem.
doing great. You got A+.
Thank you. I think I'm doing great too. You're both doing great.
Yeah, we're all this is great. We all get A+.
On Walking Like Chabot, with lines by Tiana Clark and Marianne Chan. Because I don't know where you are, I send you a letter of fiddlehead firs and wild oats from the West Coast. You two are facing a body of water, wondering about the world, playing checkers with your future. On the West Shore Trail, I see families and picnics, and I think of Gaza. Beyond the smoke are children running and rowing on the water, and no one here is a dandelion seed flying, forced from its roots. I'm dreaming of a brown Christmas where no government can make cacti out of your bodies, where no single politician's voice is louder than 100 countries singing your name against the waves of silence and the boxes made from borders. No one where you are should find the ceiling of their hoodies a shelter alone. No godless man where I'm from should have a say in your olive and citrus trees. No person should have their last breath under the bloom of a missile. And today, the war will end. And today, the occupation will end because we said so yesterday and the year before that. And we will stop counting the days because every time someone looks up and calculates the dots of berries or the stripes of thistles, or to count their grandchildren, or to see their kin smiling next to them, or to make family meals, the enumeration will be endless.
Wow.
Yeah.
Utang na loob. It is the last day of the year, and I am resolved to write you the poem I owe you. The one we said we'd write for the last time we met, well before the before times, in the town where they filmed Murder, She Wrote. We walked through succulent gardens, heath, heather, rhododendron, and dahlia, all prospering in July heat. to reach a room carved into the side of a cliff. Inside, a gray whale hip replica, a window overlooking an ocean crevasse, and a scrappy display of various lichen, a catalog of their names barely readable beneath cloudy glass. Poets, we began to read them aloud. Blistered navel, fire dot, giant shield, reindeer, witch's hair. Such delight in taxonomy. For years since, we've taken turns remembering, I still owe you that lichen poem. Doesn't that prompt feel so long ago? Finding delight, writing poems, lately as hard as the consensus of what we all owe one another. Last week, I hosted a second year of Christmas Zoom. My cousin's kid quarantined in a separate square, while my other cousin said everyone should just try to get it and spread it so we can all just get back to normal. To which my cousin, whose son had been alone in the basement for 10 days, waved his 2 middle fingers at the camera and disappeared from the frame. And I laughed because of all the wine I drank to be on that call and said, Merry Christmas, everyone! Every day I think of Bea and Jed, their Zoom memorials coordinated across time in Manila, Nashville, LA, and Honolulu. How my ates would be absolutely alive had they the medicine that half the people in this country refuse. How 6 million people across the world are dead. Still, I owe you a poem about lichens. They seem like single organisms, but really are two. A fungus, an alga, layered and inseparable. Whether their relationship is mutualistic or parasitic, scientists disagree. Whatever side you're on, it's true that lichens absorb everything in their environment into their structure. You are where you are. The last time I saw you, I met your sons. We walked along the rocky shore that met the ocean and regarded with care all the life we saw. Your sons naming mussel, limpet, anemone, starfish, barnacle, all crammed in their cold water, all waiting for the tide to come in.
The response to both your poems, I think. Choosing the small. You deserve an explanation, says no stars ever, about why we're here. I know we're not a whisper of an eyelash, an itch of an incoming sneeze, but sometimes opening the compost, the pill bugs and mites doing their unfinishable work in the damp dark, I take an unhurried inhale and begin to know what the afterlife smells like. I go to the garden and miss church. You deserve an explanation, the Democrats tell me in another email before asking for another 20. I want to reply, damn right I do. Except it doesn't sound like me, or anyone like me. Except, isn't that why we're here? Because we believe an explanation is what we deserve. We deserve chants, slow dancing, legendary teas. We deserve intergenerational laughter. We deserve each other. Even if each night we doom scroll instead of kissing our futures to sleep, even if all we can do is separate the fruit peels and take off each sticker, even if, after weeks, all it will fill is a thimble of good earth. There's singing amidst the drones, birds and bells blared from the speakers in the campus square. I bring my students ensaimadas and bobas. They've been up days, reading in their tents, taking turns, taking watch, copying poems by hand from a poet now in the stars. If I must die, you must live.
Oh man, this reading. I want to cry. But I mean, like in a good way. I mean, yeah. Okay. I feel like this is a good mood vibe-wise, I think. Deals only. We only got deals. I say upon hearing the name, I'm gonna write a poem with that title. the name of a store mentioned with specific regularity given how much we all love deals, as Jane tells us again how its aisles are where dollar store finds go to die again, further and faster than one can sing, grocery outlet, bargain market. Wait, so what exactly do they sell there? Where is this place? How good are these deals? Is it stuff you actually want to buy? Questions erupt from all our little Zoom boxes, the moons of our faces reflecting one another's shine. This is a Brady Bunch screen of badasses who've been writing and painting and teaching and making for decades. Creators of so much content considered too niche for so long, it's now in demand, especially upon viral terror and during specific months of the year. Though right here and now, violence, diaspora, grief, colonialism, misogyny, racism, orientalism, imperialism are key words that don't enter this digital room. Instead, we discuss if nail polish can actually go bad, and speculate on more deals to be had in a store with such a confident moniker. Devin says, I gotta see the sign for this place, and Tessa drops a link in the chat. We all click to see as Arlene says, oh, it's deals only, we only have deals. And then we discuss how much better got functions than have, how it feels more like access than possession, and rings more assertive relative to the quality of said deals, and sonically sounds much better with the emphasis on the more pleasing syllables. Deals only, we only got deals. We mutter and exclaim at varying speed and rhythm, the cadences of which I repeat under my breath when, in a sleepy Oregon town, I finally find one, alone. I snap the signage in several aisles, loofah poofs and rolls of masking, duct, electrical, gaffers, painters, and packing tape, a shelf of Batman and Joker wrapping paper, and immediately begin a thread. Yo, this place is truly one immigrants and children of immigrants can fully embrace and understand. To which my phone bubbles over with hearts and ha-has and exclamations. There is so much I never want to explain and feel bad bringing up, but can't help but reach out because I don't want to be alone when I know I am not crazy, but need someone to tell me I am not crazy. When someone attacks another auntie, when I brace myself for the news whenever I get texts like, hey, thinking of you and sending extra love. And so I'm glad that when I sent extra love to our group text, Arlene replied with a selfie, her astonished face and a maxi pad held beside her head to reference scale. This maxi pad is fucking huge in its wrapping, already so ridiculous. Then she sends another image. The pad, now unfolded, runs parallel from her raised eyebrows to her shoulders. Can I even say how much I love us? How when the world is trash, there's trash pizza, there's raccoon memes, there's real deal strategy for the floor is lava and supermarket sweep. There's an SUV full of houseplants, a Google Doc of where and when we'll eat corn dogs, and always available air mattress. There's a wall of machetes, an end cap of wooden canes and old nail polish, a window display of garden gnomes bearing Canadian flags, beside discount bedpans, walkers, and crutches. There's Arlene writing, I will now envision absorbing all the world's hatreds and horrors into this magical extra absorbency shield and throw it into the sun. I will not explain. Some deals only we get, only for us.
I don't know what to do now. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. I wish I had printed some other poems, but we're gonna go with this one.
Okay.
Which is I take from that like intense friendship, you know, and intimacy and closeness. Much intimacy. Shout out to Pads. Okay. That's not the name of this poem. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay. This poem is called On Being Smitten. Yeah. Okay, here we go. My homegirl is dating someone new again. My side eye looks at her big heart and wants for her acreage to give back. To plant redwood trees and tulips, even though those don't go well together. Tulips need the sun and redwoods would tower over miles of flower fields with shade. It's safe to say The tree canopy would never let the flora thrive, and there I go, talking about myself again. I don't dream of long aisles and white lace for my friends. I want for them what I wanted for myself once, a wardrobe of someone else's sweaters to keep warm, a plot of dirt to care for in each other's absence, my mother's recipes made from another's memory. I want the people my friends date to know that they have cerulean lakes full of ancestors to pour into themselves from, that the people we choose to love are like the redwood trees flying over spaceships making room for us, laying down on the ground and our arms growing and never stopping until we lapse and meet each other again. But really, it's her side eye, and it's my big heart talking over my mind again. I propose this as being more important than the meet cute, or the talking phase, or simply dating or hooking up, or even falling in love with ourselves or someone else again, ending after shattering ending. I believe in the power of being smitten. I believe in the commitment to the attraction, to the power of a million imaginations, and believing so hard in the possibility of thinking to yourself, fuck, I choose you, to a new person whom you can call your love in the galaxy of so much that was not.
Oh, now I don't know where to go. Okay, let's see. Okay, here. This one. Ingat. I want to give you a world where knives have no place, save for the mincing of ginger and garlic. A world where those roots, those bulbs, are talismans we eat in order for our blood to be strong. Today, I offer you the scream I gave to my pillow, the graying of my mother's hair, which she gave to me through my phone, the bread that my friend made and delivered, which smelled like her home. I offer you the blooming steam of my rice cooker, the bath I've drawn and littered with salt and kernels of lavender. May the warm water hold you, the way a hug might, if I could climb across time to give it to you.
Wow.
We're staying with love poems. What to do? Love poem at midlife. Because you will not fail to cry when you read this, I write this. If we barely say the word love, I believe we still have more than most. Because you recently found me in bed in tears and held me. It's so quiet in the house, I said. LA is so quiet. I dreamed I was back in my house, a child, I said, with our 7 dogs and my fierce grandmother among her plants. Because you guided me back to sound, the helicopters overhead, the overspeeding cars on 405, the wind sometimes brings. Because I believe we still have more than most, even if sometimes I've questioned if we had more a decade ago, a lot like sex. Because I didn't bare my teeth before you, no one's needed to say so. I was firstborn and feral underneath the calm, then you in your t-shirt that said, keep calm, unkatso. Because in the altar for our ancestors, our grandmothers, our friend petting the donkey, the ashes of the alley cat who was a jerk we loved. Because these details are beyond reproach. Because you cry when you're moved, because I cry when I'm tired, like the last time in the parking lot coming out of Sinner's movie. I was so tired you let me cry all the way home. Because the statement to be in a relationship is to be in conflict is easier in community organizing than in couples organizing. Because even the physicists are turning inward, the gravity collapse, the massive black hole, the bounce back, the universe made in the interior. Because when capital L, love, fails, we can always make a list of things to repair. Because I promise this time, I will fall asleep after you sleep. Because it means the world to you that you're held until you do.
Damn, y'all are good. Okay, a different kind of love poem, but I feel like this is the vibe. Okay. How to not forget. Sweep. First with Walis Ting Ting, then with Walis Tambo. Thank the dust and dirt for giving you a moment of purpose. Brew a strong cup of coffee. Place a glass bottle of Coke in the fridge. Roll and smoke a joint. Put on Pilita, the one with the tattered cover, Pilita in a white terno, her eyes heavy with black liner, her hair a high, high bouffant. Admire how she rides an impressive kalabao in front of a sad bahay kubo. Lay on the floor and say aloud the words you can translate in real time. Ganda, lungkot, kahirapan, puso, buhay, ginto. Listen to your stomach. Kumain ka ba? Crave a chili cheese hot dog. Curse being so far from a Coney Island or a Sonic. Remember the pork belly you bought from Costco. Slice and saute it with a knob of ginger, a whole bulb of garlic, and a fistful of sili. Bagung to taste. Coconut milk. Simmer. Pour it all over a clean bed of steaming calrose. Eat until your heart feels less empty. Cry. Don't cry. All your ghosts get it. They miss you too. Take that cold Coke out of the fridge. Hold the glass to your third eye. Try to remember that story about Francis Ford Coppola bringing a truck of Coca-Cola for the whole barangay, everyone an extra in the zenith of his opus, an imperialist remix of an imperialist text, paid in sugar and caffeine. Didn't the dictator let the director borrow a fleet of helicopters? Think about the rhyme of flame and fame. Think of that poet who left cans of Coke and notes that began, is even more fun than going to San Sebastian. Shrug to your ghost. What? You never slept with him. Enjoy your burn of bubbles. Burp. Recall all the ghosts you carry in your body. Gather all the mirrors in your home, a piece of broken capiz, the calamansi juice, pandan leaves, banana leaves solidified in your freezer. You can't get fresh, but you can get frozen 2 hours from where you live. Wrap yourself in the hot pink malong you bought in Quiapo and memorize a menu comprised of at least 12 desserts. Light all the purple candles in the house. Make promises. Sabihin mo lahat dito sa Tagalog. Sabihin mo laging malungkot ka, pagkatapos sabihin mo hindi laging totoo yan. Sabihin mo kailangan pa kita. Sabihin mo marami ka pang gagawin. Sabihin mo hindi mo alam kung tama to, and hope that your ghosts forgive you for your clunky tongue, for all you keep trying to remember.
Okay. This is like a turn in the event, but it's like an event I tried to forget, but just had to be written about. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh God. It's called I've Heard Enough, but the music plays on. Okay, a turn. On the dance floor of this community event, a whisper comes my way, asks for my name. I slow blink the length of it, say I came here for the DJ. I clock this man for new, a collared shirt and a crowd of tees. He asks where in the Bay I'm from, what city. Small talk spins out of us. We yell like we both have headphones on. Conversation competes with the speakers, so maybe we're scratched from the start. Maybe it's just this man who doesn't like to be shushed mid-sentence when I see the DJ drum up the mix. Maybe it's just the way the work week beats us down that we lose our shit and learn to make excuses for the record collections of small angers we place on the shelves of our shoulders. All this man sees is a turban behind the tables. In my ear, he makes a terrorist out of the DJ. And when I don't laugh, in fact, I rally together all the parts of me that could swing. The red straw in my golden drink stays a wallflower. In another life, my homegirls help me. But in this life, I say, yeah, shit's not funny. In another life, he daps up the DJ, calls him his friend, preaches brotherhood of brown skin. How many times have I repeated this story wanting the outcome to be different? What I want to be untrue is the too smooth way he leans into me again. He murmurs a fuck you, makes me a bitch, an echo I still replay. the reverb of walking away, a swig, a standstill. The crowd dances over a frequency so static. In another life, we become the mad science of a night, not the lifelessness of a party gone sour. Maybe on one night, we'd have been heat pressed onto wax, stamps, skin, entry. But I know the same matter that makes weapons makes music.
Wow.
Nice one.
Oh, is this okay. I feel like this is a good one responding to that, actually. This one's called Huwag Kang Matakot. It's on page 54, if you would like to know. Huwag Kang Matakot. My tita texts me a picture of a t-shirt that reads, "You can't scare me, my wife is Filipino." A mid-flap Filipino flag frames, "You can't scare me, my wife is," while a cartoon machete punctuates the oversized punchline, "Filipino." My tita texts to ask if I want one for my white husband, and for a moment I picture him as one of the white men at Philam barbecues. Oh no, I'll just stick to the lumpia, getting sunburned and drinking Coors, whispering to his wife to tell her friends to only speak English when he's around. And I hold down the ha-ha button on my tita's texts, my laughter bubbling blue next to her question, and I reply, "I don't think he'd wear it, but thank you." And I don't write, but I think about all the times I've heard her say, "We're not Filipino, we're American." And how many times I've been asked when I came to America, and what it means for the whole of your life to be determined by having been born in one place and not the other. And my tita replies, "Okay, everyone else wanted one." And I don't know if she means my other titas each wanted one for their white husbands too, or if the white men they married, my uncles, each wanted one for themselves. But the more I think about it, the more I think about what a woman might want a machete for. Clearing a path of balete roots, scaling fish, opening a coconut.
That was great.
Is it Q&A time? Okay.
Karen first. Yeah, you absolutely can.
I'm glad we get to ask the first questions, which is, well, the reading went where it went, which was lovely because we hear so much of the stories and the voice. You have the best voice reading, you know, your poems that are funny and, you know, I just love them. I do want to ask how you thought about the other poems in the book that are of a different sort altogether, which are coming from the archives and the photographs, because did you have to be in a completely different headspace than these more family and love poems when you're,
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, it is interesting how I didn't like read any of those, but it's like, yeah, it doesn't, it's sort of, so the book is in 3 sections, and sort of the second section is pulling more from the archive and really taking a lot from the archive of the Philippine-American War and the legacy of U.S. colonialism. And so it's sort of like the love poems and the family poems are sort of like what I'm always writing in a way. Like that's probably, I'll always have poems like that. But then the sort of project, but also like the obsession, like I wanted to write about how little I ever learned about the Philippine-American War or Filipino-American history, like the legacy of militarism and imperialism of the U.S. in the Philippines, like how I had to do that learning myself. Like it wasn't something I was ever taught in school. It's something I had to seek out as a Filipino-American. And so I think like, yeah, it is a different frame of mind, but at the same time, it's like, it's applicable too, like that, like the love, the traumatic stuff, so a lot of the poems in that second section are, some of them take from, or are ekphrastic pieces on specific stereographs from the Philippine-American War. And so, photography was becoming a technology as the U.S. was colonizing the Philippines, and so it was used as propaganda, just like, oh, look at these savages that we have to civilize. And so thinking about, like, I wanted to write about these pictures for a long time, but I didn't want to reify the violence of them. So, like, trying to be in collaboration with the subjects, the people that the pictures are of. And, like, it's sort of like when you write a love poem or when you're writing to family, you're also, whether or not they're really collaborating with your, you know, and so I think that there's an aspect of that, maybe is overlap with that thinking, but yeah, very different mode.
But I think the generosity is absolutely there. Like, I feel that you do have relationship with these people in the photographs in your poems.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Thanks for that question. Did you have one, Karen?
I have like thoughts.
Okay.
I have thoughts. I'll arrive at a question eventually, but first I have some thoughts, which is like, I'm so excited to spend time reading it all and looking at the collages because, okay, what was I going to say? Okay, in the poems that you read, I was listening and hearing like the connection and almost disconnection between like individual and culture, community and friends, and then how like the technology is distancing, but is also like the form through which you can like connect and collaborate, you know? So I guess I'm wondering like what are some of the things that you're connecting and disconnecting from in this book?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that I never thought about it that way, but yeah, you're totally right. I mean, it's, you know, so like you can hear the like lockdown poems, right? All the Zoom and the not being able to be in person. But also part of that is like I live in a very rural, isolated place. Like I had to drive 3 hours to be here, which I'm so happy to have done. That's not a, you know. But like, so for me to connect with people, I have to be like really intentional, you know. And so I think I have to really choose what I want to connect to and who I want to connect to. So if I'm connecting to you, I like you, you know what I mean? And so, but then in terms of like what I'm disconnecting from, I mean, I don't know, probably not enough. I think I feel like, I don't know how other people feel, but I feel like, you know, very sucked in and unable to like, I feel powerless a lot of the time, and that's where some disconnect comes from. And then I have to remind myself, like I think about like, well, in terms of technologies of connecting, that like nothing that's happening is new, and neither is the way to remember how to thrive and resist and subvert and survive. You know?
Yeah. Is that powerlessness in technology, in the face of technology?
Oh, I just mean like, you know,
With everything, all the shit.
waves hands and everything. You know, but yeah, like the playbook of the horror we're living through is not new, but neither is we have a lot of models and lessons to pull from too. So, yeah. That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah. Does anybody out there have a question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for coming, Michelle. I haven't seen Michelle like in 7 years, so yeah. No, I saw her on the other side of the country, so it's thank you for gracing us from your neck of the woods. I love like your excess, your aesthetics of like just the abundance, like the abundance of the poems themselves. Like there's even poems where I'm like, oh, this would be a cool ending, and then you just give us like another sort of like coda. So I wonder, like, this is more of a nerdy craft question, but when you're arranging a poem, when you're writing poetry, like, do you have like the long poem and then you try to intersperse it with shorter poems, or is it like your default setting is like, let me just have this cascade of an experience in a moment, and then I sort of, you know, write drunk, edit sober, you wake up and you kind of cleave it and cut it. Like, just tell me a little bit about like, I don't know, like, and then I have a question about humor too, but I can ask you that after. But can you just talk about like the scope and scale and vision of your poems, like these beautiful, I love the long, sweeping, the gregariousness, like the humor, the tonality, like how do you architecture this shit, you know?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Is it just you? We're just listening to you know?
I mean, yes, and I feel like, you know, those specific poems, like, are gifts that sort of come, like, it's like, they don't happen all in one sitting, but maybe the happens in one sitting or two, and then I go back and I pull out what's good, or I find out, I look at what rises to the surface and what connects, and then when I craft, like I'm like, okay, I gotta call that back, like, okay, I need, like, the nail polish has to come back, or whatever, you know what I mean? Those little things come later, but like, you know, that deals only, we only got deals. I mean, that's like mostly autobiographical. That's just like my stupid ass friends and me on Zoom. You know what I mean? So that's part of it. But I think that like it comes from actually, like, I say this a lot to students, that like being a writer is about the actual writing, but so much of it is like how you move through the world and what you remember and what you decide is worth repeating and like collating and repackaging to be like, you know. But then there are also, like, I read mostly like the ones you're describing, but there are like really short poems too. So I think I just like working in, like, there's so many different ways to say things, and I am a very unserious and also serious person, and so I feel like that is in everything I write. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. I just wanted to hear you rap about it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Antonio. Any other questions? Or how are we with time, Car? Two more questions. And it's like, I don't want to just write about it just to be like, hey, look at this horrible thing, you know? And so, of course, I'm not remembering the exact thing that I read from her that helped me unlock this, but it was her writing, and then also the writing of other Filipino scholars of this time period. Narissa Balche, especially her book, which I'm forgetting now. I had a bibliography in this, but then they were like, we have to cut something. So it's on my website, but it has like all the things I was reading that was informing that. So I think just like having more context. So that's one piece. And then the other piece is collage, the actual like act of doing that. So like, for example, like on the last page of the book, oh no, and all the little slips of paper. Okay, like this one, this is, you know, there's like a genre of images from the Philippine-American War that are just basically like the U.S. Army's like, look, Ma, at all the dead Filipinos I made, you know? And so the horror of that is viscerally gutting to me as a Filipino-American person. And one of the things that I needed to do something with my hands to process that. And so one of the ways in which I did was I wanted to protect them. So like, I covered them with flowers. I you know, like I made a cathedral of this violence, this space. And, you know, in Filipino culture, and I think other cultures too, that, you know, when you see a winged thing, it is a person who has passed on. And so for every butterfly and moth is for each body in this image. And so I think just having like homage and respect, like treating it like a memorial as opposed to an object of fascination or exploitation. Yeah. Thanks for that question. One more, last one. Also, no pressure. I just always like to say that. I hate putting pressure on people. Okay, we're good?
No,
you have a question.
I want to ask you about, because all the words I remember are poems, but I think what you meant is all the words I remember in Filipino.
Yeah.
And then kind of thinking them in this more lyrical way, right?
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful and so beautiful. But I also want to know, from a pedagogical interest, like, what is your relationship language and loss of language and reformation of language.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. That's actually a great question to close. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it is the title, but so, my relationship to Tagalog specifically is both my parents speak Tagalog. My mom always likes to talk about how when I was little, I had the accent from Bulacan. Like, I was very much a speaking Tagalog child, but now as I've aged and grown up in the U.S., I can understand pretty much most things, but it's sort of stuck in the time period of when my family immigrated, right? So it's time capsule, and I can understand that. But if you stuck me in the Philippines with a bunch of teenagers, I'd be like, or teenagers now. Anyway, so but all to say that I can understand, but I can't form sentences well. If I really, really had to, I could, but I sound like I'm, 5 trying to ask for something, you know what I mean? And so for me, that there's that piece of being able to understand, but not being able to converse or reproduce or talk about anything sophisticated like art or family dynamics or any, you know what I mean? I can just be I'm hungry, I'm full, or whatever, but I can understand. So my family forgets sometimes that they're talking shit about me. I know. But all of that to say that that there's that, but then as a poet, what I remember and how words sound, it's not I always have the correct association or the denotation of what it actually means in Tagalog. Yeah. It's what it sounds like to me as an English speaking poet too. So it's it's my own lexicon that I can play with that's its own space, which I think is what a lot of people have. There's so many Englishes, there's so many Tagalogs, there's not one way of ever speaking anything. And so all the words I can remember are poems. That space is lyric and poetic and full of meaning and feeling and memory. And so, yeah.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
On language? I think that's really beautiful because, when you're, as a poet, as an artist, right, and you hear these words in your first language or any language, and you may not be up to date, but they're part of you, right? And there are some words that have very special meaning to you. Yeah. Might be ordinary to somebody, but for you, the words you've chosen, they're very special. Yeah. They're meaningful. They represent you. And so I don't think it's a matter, the fact that you have that memory, that you have that connection, it doesn't lessen at all that as far as your Filipino-ness. Yeah. And because it's part of your family. I think that's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes, I remember one word in my first language. I always loved it. It's agar arbis. It means it's drizzling. It's slightly raining. Nice. And I've always remembered. I think of words in my first language are those are actually beautiful words. people might not think too much about it. Yeah. So we all, make connections with certain words that are part of us, 100%. That are ingrained in us since childhood. Yeah. So I love actually what you've chosen here.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Edwin. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Yay!
Can we keep it going for Karen Llagas? This is a great idea, Michelle. Thank you all for being down and participating and listening. I think this made it really special, which it was going to be special regardless of how it turned out, but it's so cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I will be brief and just let you know that we have books by all 3 of our poets at the front register. You can find them there. They will sign them.
Yeah. Sure.
So upstairs. Oh yes.
Oh yeah. There's food and drinks upstairs.
Yeah.
You're all invited to come have some.
Our new neighbors, backstory above are hosting a little post-reading reception for Michelle and our poets upstairs. You're welcome to join.
I bought wine.
If
you are of age, you can have some.
If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.